President Trump is arguably one of the most, if not the most, pro-Israel U.S. presidents ever. Yet many American Jews oppose him. I spoke with author and former mayor of Shilo, David Rubin, earlier in our studio and asked him why that is and about his new book, Trump and the Jews. David Rubin, welcome to Jerusalem Dateline.
Thank you. Good to be with you, Julie.
You've written a new book, Trump and the Jews, and you've been very outspoken about President Trump being very pro-Israel. What are you looking at when you say that? What policies are you referring to?
First of all, as far as his accomplishments, now he is taking a pragmatic approach to the Israel-Palestinian issue. He has been right behind Israel as far as the Iran issue. He did away with the Iran deal, which was suicidal for Israel and very destructive for the United States. The moving of the embassy to Jerusalem. Okay, he was the first president that said he was going to do it, and he followed through on it. More recently, he's announced the closing of the PLO office in Washington. Trump is the best president in American history for Israel. And we've had some good ones. You know, before the State of Israel was reestablished, George Washington, John Adams, Abraham Lincoln, Harry Truman, these were people who were believing Christians who recognized that Israel is important, that Israel is God's country, and that you have to stand with Israel, and that it's good for America to stand with Israel. Trump has surpassed them all.
Why did you write this book?
Well, there are two reasons. One is that people have been asking me, and I'm an American Israeli, so I know both sides, why do American Jews always vote for the Democrats? How Israelis can be gung-ho for Trump, and how American Jews, with the exception of the Orthodox Jews in America, who are big Trump supporters, do not stand behind this president when he has done so many good things for Israel. Well, you have to look at the history of American Jewry. Okay, the American Jewish community came to America mostly in the early part of the 20th century. They were very poor. It took a long time until they started to develop, to prosper, and working long hours. They abandoned the observance of the Jewish Sabbath so that they could work. Many of them became involved with unions, and so they naturally leaned towards the Democratic Party. In addition, we had the secularization of the Jewish community. That today the Jewish community in America is the most secular of all the religious communities in the country. And because of that, they've lost their biblical roots. They're not biblically connected anymore. Their religion is liberalism. Unfortunately, what has happened to the Democrats in recent years is that they've adopted the far left extremism, which is anti-Israel. So if Israel isn't top on your list of priorities, then you're going to go against Israel.
Israeli Jews, according to the polls, really like President Trump. And the American Jews, as we've said, you know, are not so favorable towards him. So why the difference?
I could sum that up in two words: Jewish identification. In Israel, we have wall-to-wall, across the political spectrum, support for President Trump. Israelis love President Trump. They think he's doing a great job. And this is where it gets really interesting, because it includes secular Israelis. Those who lean a little bit to the left of the political spectrum, they love President Trump also. They think he's doing a great job. And why is that? Because they're Jewishly identified. Okay? Like I put my emphasis on, yes, the Orthodox Jews in America, but that's because those are mainly the ones who are Jewishly identified. So President Trump is on the right side of history. And the right side of history is standing with the Jewish people.
We've talked about all the things that President Trump has done that have been good for Israel. They've actually been also not just good for Israel or the Jewish people, they're actually good for America.
It makes sense by American standards. And this was one of my main points in writing Trump and the Jews, that I want people to understand by the facts on the ground, by his accomplishments, that what he is doing is strengthening the bond between Israel and America in order to help the United States of America. But we know President Trump is an America First president. He's looking first at what is good for America. That's the point. There is no contradiction between the two. So if that America-Israel connection ceases to exist, and that bond ceases to exist, then it's going to be bad for America also.
Okay, David, thank you for joining us today.
Okay, thank you, Julie.
Alpha,